Hey, my name's George from Australia, and welcome to Gaming My Whole Life, where I discuss everything video game related, from good old past pixels to the birth of 3D until now. Welcome to my smexy Australian gaming YouTube channel. Now today, ladies and gentlemen, we will be discussing how video games help with anxiety, how video games help you with depression, how video games help you with problem solving, how video games help you with socializing. So let's talk about those many benefits that video games do give us, which is quite odd if you think about it, because for the most part, whenever video games make mainstream media, it's always for bad reasons, right? The game is broken or buggy, the game has attracted the wrong sort of crowd, a game is too violent, a game is too sexual, a game is too Grand Theft Auto everything, right? So always normally about the complaints. Video games make people stupid, video games make people violent, video games make people disrespect women. Whatever made up garbage, but to think that mentally video games actually does a lot for us comes as a surprise. But if you're in the know, then you know, right? If you've been gaming for long enough, you already have the suspicion that, hey, I think video games is probably a very, very good thing, right? And it does, honestly. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm going to mix it with the knowledge of countless articles I've read over the years and countless conversations I've had with other gamers, and dare I say it, decades of experience and common sense. I'm going to use it all. So let's tackle the first one, which I feel is the most important, right? Or the easiest one to identify. How video games help you with anxiety. How anxiety helps with video games is it all comes down to control, right? And I can use this personally. When I was little, when I was a little fluff, when I was in school, I was one of the slow kids to start off with, right? And I had anxiety as a result of that. I didn't want any attention drawn to me. Whenever there was a test or something coming up, it would make me feel sick to my stomach. I didn't like being rushed either, and I wasn't good at doing things quickly. You know what I quickly learned with my anxiety? Video games helps an awful lot, because when you boot up a video game, provided it's not an online multiplayer game, right? You boot up a single player game, whether it's on your Nintendo Switch, whether it's on your PlayStation 4 or 5, whether it's on your Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, or on your powerhouse PC, or in my case back in the day, on my Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or Sega Mega Drive, right? You boot up those games, and there is no rush. There is no attack, there is no judgment. The world welcomes you, right? So when you would play Super Mario World, right? The game would wait for you. You wouldn't be nervous, you wouldn't be thinking, what are the Koopa Troopers thinking of me? What are the Goombas thinking of me? Is anyone laughing at me that I died? There's no eyes looking at you. There's no judgment, there's no assessment, it's just you and colourful music and clouds literally smiling at you, right? It gives you a sense of control, gives you a sense of welcome. That was a big part of it for me. No matter how stupid I felt at school, no matter how much of a bad day I had, I remember literally thinking, when I boot up my Super Nintendo, when I boot up my Sega Mega Drive or my Nintendo, and later on my PS1 and PS2, that device would never judge me. It would welcome me every single time. It was my safe space, right? So it really helped with anxiety. Let's talk about how it helps with, let's talk about how video games help with socializing and meeting like-minded people. So because I was, as I said, because I was a little slow as a child, right? And I loved my video games, I of course made it a mission to hunt down everyone else who was a gamer as well. That really helped me, because I moved around a lot as a child, so went to many different schools. Always hard to make friends. My objective every time I went into a new school was to always figure out who the gamers were, right? Those were my people. They were the ones that was the most welcoming, that was the least judgmental, that was the friendliest to me and had the best patience. And best of all, they liked video games as well, which gave me common ground, which gave me something to talk to them about and make those initial contacts. That obviously really helped me with socializing, especially back then, pre the internet days. If you want to play games together, they would have to come over your house. You would play split screen. They would get to meet your mum and dad. Your parents would make them lunch. You'd make a day of it. They'd come over on a Saturday. It would be wonderful, right? And of course, the same thing can happen now. There's still split screen games out there. You can take your turns playing single player experiences. You can bring your laptop over to your friend's house. You can bring your extra gaming console. Like, there's ways you can do it. Or if you're happy, yes, you can play it online with your friends. The point is, there's a lot of socializing there. You can use it to make your friends, to make your contacts, to feel better. And of course, that helps you with your mental health along the way, because one, you've identified an area, a safe space where you are not judged, where you are in control as well. It gives you this rare thing of control. In life as an adult, you will learn you actually have very little control over anything. For the most part, you're just playing reaction. You're just trying to react to things, and you're just doing the best you can at any given moment. In a game world, arguably it's one of the very few places in your entire life where you are fully in charge. You can play as quickly, as fast as you want. You can fail a million times without having an ounce of shame, of guilt, of embarrassment, because there isn't a bunch of people watching you. It's just you and the game. You can get lost in the world. You can have hours go by. And when you suffer from depression as well, right? Sometimes when you can't cure your depression, because that's a very vague term and so forth, but let's just say, for argument's sake, that you're in a place in your time in life where things aren't too good and you don't have the power to do anything about it. Maybe you're in a bad home, you are a child, you are a teenager, or maybe even a young adult, right? And you're not in the best situation for whatever reason. You can't get out of it. So you need a distraction. And boy, do video games help distract. You can sit down, you can play a game. You will literally forget the world. 3-4 hours will fly by just like that. And I know that sounds bad, like, oh, you just lose all these hours of your life. Sometimes we need that though. Sometimes we need the break. Sometimes we need to forget. And I used to do that after school. I'd come home after being bullied and so forth, and I'd come home and I'd boot up the video game, and it would let me forget everything. It would let me forget everything. And that helped as at that time, coping mechanism, right? Along with other things that I did. So how video games help you with problem solving is it teaches you a very rare skill, and that is the skill of anticipation, prediction, and basically you're doing crazy maths in the span of 1 to 2 seconds. So say a fireball is being thrown at your character, right? And you need to jump over the fireball. Simple enough, you press a button and that's that. But on closer inspection, there's actually a lot more going on here. When that fireball comes to you, and you do all this without even realizing it, firstly, your brain figures out the speed that fireball is coming in relation to yourself. So if you're here, fireball is here, and it comes towards you, normally you only have 1 or 2 seconds before that fireball makes contact, but your brain very quickly, immediately figures out how long it's going to be until that fireball hits you. Next, your brain is going to automatically calculate the height of your jump and the amount of reaction time needed to safely jump over that fireball. So then you figure out the perfect spot to jump, to go over it, where you will land, right? So there's all these calculations happening in real time. Also, how video games help you with problem solving is you get puzzles and so forth, right? Video games force you under very strenuous scenarios to be calm in the moment of a panic. Like when you're fighting a boss, right, and there's a lot of pressure, you've been attacked by all these enemies and all that, you have to learn to keep cool in the middle of chaos, right? And that actually translates really well into life, which is why a lot of gamers are quite analytical. It's why they're very fact driven and really like getting information and so forth, is because we develop these skills for our video games. It isn't a flex, it isn't all the smart kids went and played video games. That's what video games expected from us if we were to continue, because video games don't care about your feelings. They really don't. Get good is a good expression, because most games, they're just, here we are, figure it out. If you're good enough to play this, great. If you're not, well, you don't need to play this. Video games as a medium has the most potential for the greatest impact, because it isn't just TV. It isn't just a show, it isn't just entertainment. You get to interact with it, which means your brain interacts with the product very differently compared to if you watch TV or not. That's why, for example, if you come home after school, after work, after exercise, after whatever, and you are physically and emotionally drained. That's why some nights you are too tired to play video games, but you have the energy to watch movies. And that may seem like a really strange concept, right? Because to the uninformed or uneducated, you would assume video games is just as easy as watching a movie or a show, and you would be wrong. When you watch a movie or a show, the show and movie does it all for you, does all the thinking for you. You don't need to do anything. You don't even need to be aware of what your hands are doing, right? When you play a video game, you are anticipating, you are reacting, you are thinking, you are doing those math calculations of the enemy is here, I am here, their attack speed is here, I need to be there. There is a lot going on that you are not aware, and that uses up brain processing power, right? Just like a computer, and that uses up energy. That's why when you're really tired, you can't play games. You're like, oh, I can't do it. But, watch something on Netflix, yeah, that's not gonna be hard. And lastly, how video games help you, or to be more specific, how video games help me, is I have a greater appreciation for art, for technology, for where the industry is as a whole, right? Oh, it's hot in my room. I need to take off these glasses, they're getting foggy. I appreciate art on such a higher level because of video games, right? I love the fact that I have seen with each video game console generation, watching the graphics improve, I've seen them go from pixels to 3D, from 3D to slightly smoother 3D, from slightly smoother 3D to HDR lighting and bump mapping, and from that to huge open worlds and so forth. It's a never-ending journey, and unlike art itself, the traditional art, like you're looking at a painting, the tools are very different for every generation, and you can really tell the difference, right? Like if I put a little picture here of pixel art graphics, right? This is how games actually looked. And then here, if I put like a modern picture, of just a random game character or whatever, it looks worlds apart. You don't need to be an artiste to be able to tell that difference, right? But what's awesome is if you have been part of the journey, or even if your journey started now, you will see as you get older, and you will see as you continue, all the subtle improvements and evolutions, because 3D is so complex. There's lighting, there's textures, there's filters, there's rendering, there's gameplay mechanics, there's so many things, right? And as you play, you're like, oh, I've never seen that before. Oh, that's a nice thing. Oh, I haven't seen this in a game. Oh, this water looks amazing. Oh, this character looks amazing. I've never seen such good looking realistic hair before. You notice all these little details. And I love being part of that journey from an artistic sense. Also, I have to say, video games has helped me learn to appreciate having time to myself. It's helped me deal with my own thoughts in my head, so to speak, right? Video games don't necessarily stop me from thinking. It gives me something to do. It lets me know that if I can't go outside, if I can't see friends, if I live in Australia and this world epidemic thing happened and we got locked up for like years, good thing I'm a gamer because I had things to do. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching Gaming My Whole Life. You have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you live on this big blue planet of ours. God bless you all. Take care, and see you for the next video here, Gaming My Whole Life. Be sure to comment below. Let me know, how has video games helped you? How has it helped you with your depression, anxiety? How has it helped you with socializing? How has it helped you just appreciate life itself? How has it helped you appreciate art itself? Tell me the good things. Tell me how video games have made you happy, how video games have made your children happy, how video games have made your parents happy, your friends happy, the world happy. Be a happy gamer. All right, bye-bye.